Welcome everybody to I, the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card, and today I'm delighted to say I'm bringing you another collaboration. Haven't done one for a little while, so this is really exciting. And this time I'm collaborating with the wonderful Shon from Shon.Vibes. Shon is an extremely good reader, and she's also an extremely good interviewer. I first came across her when she was doing interviews with other tarot readers, including one of my collaborators from earlier months, the wonderful Odessa Mole. So I watched that because I was keen to see the interview with Odessa and just really loved Shon's energy. And happily for me, she liked my reading style too, and we sort of connected between our channels. And now, today, we're bringing a collaboration, so I'm really excited to do that. Shon is a very, very good reader, as I say, as well as a very great interviewer, very spiritually knowledgeable, and she's just extraordinarily charismatic, very creative. She's an actress amongst other things, so very, very accomplished person, lovely energy to talk to, and as I say, very charismatic. So I'm sure if you haven't come across it before, you're going to enjoy meeting her as a result of this collaboration. If you're coming to me because of Shon and the collaboration we're doing, then you're very, very welcome here. What we decided to do was look at the goddess energy within us. And so really primarily, this is almost like the inner goddess, the energy of the divine feminine in all its various forms that we embody in one form or another. A little bit later in this particular reading, I'm going to use the deck that I'm using right from the start a second time to look at goddesses that are external to you, that probably are kind of like spirit guides, but this is more an exploration of you. And what we decided to do is that there's sort of two ways really that our inner goddess can manifest itself. One is through our sort of nurturing, our caring, our emotion, our body, our creativity, all of those sort of physical and emotional sides of things, and that's what Shon is looking at. So she's looking at the goddess within your body, and I'm looking at the goddess within your mind. So you're sort of the various forms of intelligence we might talk about, the way we think about the world, the way we perceive it, our philosophies, our beliefs, that kind of thing. So that gives you a nice sort of balance about how your goddess energy operates. So I'm actually using in this particular reading, I'm going to use less decks than I normally use. I'm going to use this deck, which is a beautiful new deck that I've got called Goddesses of the World. It's been created by Relmi, Sasha and Sylvia Damiano. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're Australian creators, so I love to sort of support Australian creators, and they've done this beautiful deck which is extremely diverse. It's got a whole bunch of goddesses in it, to be honest, I've never heard of, so that's really exciting for me. So it's going to be a learning journey as I do this reading and as I use this beautiful deck. And that's going to be a primary one that is right at the beginning to set the scene, and we'll use a little bit later as well. I'm going to use a very female-centric tarot and a related spirit gift, spirit archetypes deck that I have with that. Going to look at some astrology as well, but also finish off with a god energy, just to sort of balance a little bit of the divine masculine as well in this. But as I say, that we're really looking at the goddess energy and what that means. So it's going to be the prime focal point. So consequently, what I decided to do was look at 4 different types of what I would call intelligence, but it's really just kind of the mind, the philosophy. One is the analytical, overarching analytical intelligence. A second one that's sort of related to that is the strategic intelligence. The third is your emotional intelligence, largely close into personal relationships. And then fourthly, the social intelligence, because women are very strong with social intelligence, or the divine feminine within is very strong with social intelligence. So you don't have to be a woman for this, but that side of your nature is the side that would be strongly sort of aspected within your kind of intelligence repertoire, I would say, in terms of the divine feminine. So I'm going to look at those 4 areas. So what I asked Spirit with this beautiful deck was to give me, for each pile, the analytical intelligence, and then under it there are 3 cards from the deck. I don't know what those cards are yet, that cover the other 4 areas. So we're going to start looking at those and see what they are individually and what that kind of tells us overall about the inner goddess in your mind. Then we'll look at it into it in more detail with tarot and so forth. So for pile number 1 we have Diana. For pile number 2, we have Zonget. And for pile number 3, we have Miliki. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And these are two of the goddesses that are new to me. As I say, it's very exciting to have a deck that is that broad, that get to learn about new goddesses and more about the world and its cultures and so forth. So you can, of course, go to more than one reading if you wish. The timestamps are in the description box below when you know what reading or readings you want to go to. I very strongly suggest you also go and see Shon's readings. If you haven't already done that, then do it after this, just to get the balance, because I think that gives you a more holistic picture. But for now, I'll see you in your reading. Welcome, pile one, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Diana as the analytical intelligence. So in terms of the others here, this is the strategic intelligence, Sina Uli. Then this is your emotional intelligence, Yi, and this is your social intelligence, Mai Thong Nian. Now, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So telling you a little bit about each of these goddesses, what I would firstly say, looking at that and looking at the energy, is there's a very strong energy, I think, with your strategic intelligence, because I think you are very much in balance. What this is showing is you're very much in balance. You take one side of an intelligence and you make it be served and heightened by another. And it is a kind of a nice sort of reciprocity that operates, almost like a kind of a pattern that operates in that sort of way. Because if we start with Diana, Diana's probably the best known, I would say, of the goddesses of the four that you have here. She is the goddess of the hunt, from Greek mythology or Roman mythology. So she's the untamed huntress. This talks about, this card talks about following your intuition and being in touch with nature and that kind of thing, listening to the intuition and finding strength, courage and clarity. So your analytical mind, I think, goes within. It is very clear and you really understand your nature. Your inner goddess really understands your nature and how that is important for your decisions. And Diana, as a huntress on any level, goes after what they want. There is a sort of a clarity on what is the purpose, where are you going, what do you want to do. So your analytical intelligence as the goddess agency of that is focused, knows what it wants to do and is in touch with its own nature, has the clarity that comes from that. But it's a dynamic process, because the analytical intelligence to me connects very much to the strategic. Once we've analysed a situation, then we sort out our strategy. And so there you go to Sin Uli. And Sin Uli is a Samoan moon goddess. She symbolises purity and transformation. And it's sort of about cleansing and renewal in your life. The card says, just as the moonlight washes away impurities, let her guidance inspire you to release what no longer serves you. So I feel that this is sort of, there's a strategy of clarity, washing away what is not going to serve you. So your first order of your kind of analytical and strategic mind, as the goddess energy is in focus, clarity and clearing the way. Then when we look at the emotional intelligence, which is how we then interact with the people closest to us, with understanding and reading a room, you have the Australian Aboriginal sun deity, we. And this is the power of light and warmth and new beginnings, strength and energy from the sun's rays. This is about renewed vitality, and it's about taking care of your energy. So this tells me that you have washed away, or what your natural process is to analyze the situation, work out the target that you're aiming for, wash away everything that doesn't serve that, make sure that you know how to preserve your energy. Because then when we look at the social intelligence, you take on a very maternal, nurturing energy. You bring a lot to others, because this is the mother goddess of the Vietnamese Tay people. So this is all about nurturing, creation, caring for others, cherishing the earth. So there's a very strong connection between nature and so forth there. So this tells me that your inner goddess as a whole in your mind has a sense of purpose in terms of nurturing and supporting, and almost, you don't have to literally be a mother, but have that almost kind of sense of caring for your community, for the people that are closest to you and so forth. Your social intelligence is connected to nurturing and caring, and I feel almost like it's the starting point. Although I've kind of built this up that this is the starting point, I think everything for you and your inner goddess starts here. You are likely to have either a literal role that is very much a nurturing, caring role within your community and the people, the groups that you're closest to, or you just naturally have that ability. People see that in you because you know that is sort of your purpose, the caring and nurturing of others, the support of others, in one form or another. This then means that when your analytical mind looks at things with the goddess within there, looks at it in terms of where do I focus to get the best outcome, what is getting in the way of achieving that for everybody, including yourself, what do I need to clear away, and how do I make sure that I can go the distance while I'm doing it. So I feel this is a group that's very caring of other people. Your inner goddess puts other people's social issues, that kind of thing, causes spirituality first in a way that you want to be gentle on the land, gentle on the people that you're with, encouraging growth and so forth. But you have a very focused and lean and mean in a way, not mean as in nasty, but lean and mean as in kind of getting on with things, approach to things so that you can serve your energy and you send it in the right ways. You'd also be someone with this energy that it would be a delight to be in your company. You would be sort of someone who you just would radiate a warmth. So it's probably, even if you don't fully within think, I don't feel like I'm a mother, I think people may see you in a kind of motherly way because of this beautiful energy that you radiate, and because it almost seems like it's effortless, but it's not. Your analytical and strategic inner goddess knows what she's doing in terms of where she puts her focus and how she clears the energy to keep things going. You're kind of the lifeblood of the groups that you're in, the social groups, all of that kind of thing, the one that most people come to for nurturing. But you are wise enough to know that won't always be completely reciprocal. You're more likely to be the person giving energy out. Therefore, you have to work out how to clear that energy and keep it coming in for yourself. So very wise. This is a very wise, maternal, divine, feminine energy. It's absolutely the inner goddess perfectly described. But as I say, I think you would be a delight to be around. I think that people would see you as a naturally nurturing person, and I think they would want to be around you. Like people would want to come to you. Of course, that also means that you're going to potentially have people wanting a lot from you. So, you always have to balance that off. But I think, as I say, the focus of the Diana, you with Diana's energy, you go towards what you think is the best outcome. With Sin Ulis, you make sure you're not carrying too much. That allows the energy to be towards the sun and towards nurturing. So that's lovely. It's a lovely balance for the inner goddess in your mind. So let's have a look at them in a little bit more detail. So I wanted to firstly have a look with tarot at these two together, because it seems to me that analysis and strategy go together, and I think emotional and social intelligence go together. So we're going to look at each of those, a row from tarot for each of them. Then we'll look at how they kind of combine for your overall goddess mind. And then I'm just going to do about 3 cards for how this connects to the inner goddess in your body as a kind of a teaser for Shon's readings, or as a kind of confirmation of that if you've come from her reading to this. So firstly, let's have a look at the inner goddess in your mind in terms of your analytical and strategic intelligence. Wheel of Fortune reversed, 9 of Pentacles, so that makes sense with Diana, very, very independent. 7 of Swords, and very clever. Emperor, 2 of Wands, Chariot. Okay, this is a very strong part of you, I have to say. Though I think that most people are primarily seeing this very warm, loving energy. You are very, very clever. You are very, very clear on where you put your energy and so forth. You're drawn towards social causes, or where you think that things are not operating in the way that they should. You've got a natural healing energy. You'd be very, I think, fit yourself, whatever size, shape, or whatever you are within, you've got a very strong constitution, very fit on that sort of level. So you have energy to spare, but you're very aware, because you're so independent. You're aware of where something isn't going the way it should, where power is being misused, authority is being misused, or the male principle is out of whack with the female principle. All of that you're very aware of. You're able to kind of stealthily deal with it. I feel the way that the 7 of Swords is portrayed here, I feel like it's more like a superhero that comes out in the night and manages to do good, rather than some of the things that the Seven of Swords says. And I always think the Seven of Swords is a great negotiator. So analytically and strategically, you know what you're doing. And most people don't fully understand what you're doing. It's quite hidden. This is what I'm saying. Most people see the kind of emotional warmth and the caring, but there's a very clever mind that understands power, very independent. And you kind of, your aim is to find where things are almost on the nadir, to bring them back up and to put them on a course again that they should be on. It's like if you're a parent, if you look there with the very maternal aspect of this goddess, you wouldn't be the type that was, always telling your children what to do. You'd be much more likely to let them find their independence, find out who they are, but be there as a guiding force to get them back on track if they have had a misfortune or they're not understanding the situation they're in enough. You would be teaching them a lot about analysis and about strategy and about how to be independent and true to oneself. So I think it's not a kind of mollycoddling energy at all. It's a growth energy that you bring to people with that sort of more maternal theme. But you are very, very clever, very, very clever, and particularly in understanding how to be independent where power issues or where fortune, you come in like if fortune is not working, you come in, and like you stealthily, quickly in the night, so to speak, find the strategy, fix it up, get everything going again. People may not even know that you've been there and you've done it. That's the sort of energy around it. So let's have a look at then the emotional and social intelligence, where we're seeing this sort of like really warm sort of inner glow that you know how to kind of keep stoked, so to speak, and this natural sort of maternal support energy. World reversed, Six of Wands. Yeah, that's what you're really seeing for. Star reversed, Page of Cups reversed. Yeah, you heal broken hearts. Hanged Man. Yeah, most people see you as a kind of healing energy, this maternal healing energy, and there's a lot of truth to it. You are a natural healer. And the good thing is, particularly with Yi here, I think that the risk of being not able to heal yourself is lessened here. You do actually know how to protect your own energy, which is good. You are primarily seen and recognized for this energy, for this sort of like warmth, charisma, caring, nurturing. But you've got bigger fish to fry, I have to say. In fact, if anything, I would be asking you to think about, since this is your mind, the goddess in your mind, have you got unfinished business which is yours, and you're so socially attuned and so connected with other people that you're putting that aside? Like when you're doing your strategies, are you sometimes hiding your own power and your own energy a bit? It's an interesting thing. One of the things when I used to do employee relations negotiations, I would often say that it's better that nobody understands how you did it within the room. Like if both sides leave thinking they won, and yet you've actually found the good balance between the two, the way to make that work and stay is for them to never really realise how it was done. Because if they realise how it was done, they may feel manipulated, and you're not really out to manipulate, you're out to just bring people together and make the conversation work. But the more invisible you are, the more that both sides feel they just won the argument, the better. It's almost an energy like that with you. I feel like there is a possibility that there are some big things you could do. And one of the risks for you with this inner goddess mind profile is that you might give up your own ambitions to achieve more for other people. So it's important to also remember Diana has a focus, is independent. Like what do you also want to do in the world? Because there is a bit of a risk of you not fully getting the recognition for all that you have in your kit bag. Because you seem to spend a lot of time with people, helping them deal with broken hearts, disappointments, getting them to think differently, get up and move on. And it's almost as though people don't see what that means about you. So, if you read cards like this, for instance, it could be that everybody sort of like goes away feeling really warm about themselves, and they don't even notice what could have been coming from you. It's like there's a, or if a therapist, a similar sort of thing. So I think it's just the only thing to say. I mean, it's a really lovely energy, but I think that there may be a little bit, you are able to keep your energy going, but this is so other person centered that that's just something to think about. about, are you fully using all that you have, or are you kind of sacrificing your own stardom, your own kind of like success and all that for others? It's just something to think about. And I think your inner goddess wants you to think about it. So let's just pull a few cards for how the two combine. Lovers, Page of Wands, Two of Cups reversed, Ten of Wands reversed, Magician reversed. Okay, I think this is trying to pick up what Spirit and what your inner goddess is trying to say to you, actually. I think that you are really, really good at relationships, social issues, all of that kind of thing. Amazing, and really, really charismatic and really, really attractive. There's no two ways about that. But there may be a time where you're actually sacrificing not just your own stardom, but also your own love life, to be looking after everybody else's burdens. And there's a question here about, is that, because Diana was very, very independent. I think there's a question here for you, and this is what your inner goddess wants you to think about, in your mind, wants you to think about. Is there a point at which you're not, it's not being totally dishonest with yourself, but you're focusing all your attention on the worries of others? Is that costing you something, either in terms of your own career, your own creativity, whatever it is, or in terms of, having a loving relationship? Like, why is this coming up, pile one? Because you're a lovely person and you're super smart, but it's interesting. I really do feel that people primarily see the emotional intelligence and the social intelligence, and that's a question. Are you costing yourself your own happiness in love and in other things by being so much the person who supports everybody else? I think that all your inner goddess in your mind wants to stay together is marry these two more together, like, and allow, particularly with Yi around your energy, for it to be also about you, that it's not lesser. It's almost like the motherly energy is dominating the independent energy. So this is something to think about. But beyond that, you're really, really good at all this stuff. It's like, please apply it to your own life. It's really the message that I'm getting here. And it's interesting. I didn't know if I was going to get a message specifically, but there is a very strong one for you here, I think, which is, don't be so selfless that your own skills you're not using for yourself, because they're prodigious. Okay, so we want to talk about skills. So there's a sister oracle to this particular tarot deck. And I wanted to just draw 3 cards for 3 spiritual archetype energies that align with the overall, the combined energy here. So it sort of just give another layer of how your inner goddess in your mind operates, but this time sort of in a spiritual sphere. So firstly, celestial navigator. Okay, so your inner goddess in your mind is what gives you the guidance, direction and purpose. Is very much Diana, I think. Like you are very clever. It is navigating you, but see how her eyes are closed? I just feel like there's something here where it's, and she almost looks like she's gone within and it's selfless. I think there's sort of like almost a secondary message here about making sure you navigate towards what you want as well too, because you give guidance and direction and purpose to others, but are you giving it to yourself? I think it's a question to ask. Then the second point is the healer, healing, good health and well-being. Yeah, you're very much a healer. It's natural to you. But healers, therapists, spiritual workers, there is definitely a thing where you have to be careful to make sure that you actually have your own say in things, and that you heal yourself as well. And we also get the Hellraiser. Oh, good. This is maybe the side of you that wants to come up and enjoy things. Rebellion, thrill, chaos. Like, don't feel you always have to be the sort of sensible, mature one. Sometimes have a bit of fun. So how we have a bit of fun and how we heal ourselves and so forth is sometimes to get within our body. So going back to the tarot, I just want to get 3 cards that connects to what you're going to find in Shon's reading, because it's very important. I think particularly for you, because I feel like the more that you get into the inner goddess in your body and all of that sort of stuff, the more you'll connect back to you. I think your mind might sort of push you towards other people so much. It's probably through the body and the passions that you can connect and maybe get to the inner Hellraiser. So let's just see a little sneak peek of the energy in Shon's reading. Four of Wands reversed. Sun reversed. Yeah, it's saying the same thing over in there. Five of Cups reversed. Yeah, I do think her reading is going to be really important to you. I think it's going to really show how you get your own life path back and move past, the kind of disappointment that could be always dealing with everybody else. It is having an effect at the moment on you having a happy home, feeling happy around people, like feeling that you're also getting support. And your body is probably your passions or whatever is the way that you're really going to feel into this, because your mind is almost philosophically detached and gone, as soon as I get a kind of like a barometer on my emotional intelligence or social intelligence, somebody needs something, I go into my kind of pursuit and analysis, and it's like it's a bit detached from you and what you need. So I do think that's an overarching message for you. Okay. So what I also wanted to do with this is I wanted to have a look at an astrology energy, a couple of pairings of planets for each of the aspects of your goddess within. So firstly, something else about Diana, about this sort of natural, intuitive, focused, clear thinker. Sun and Mars. Yeah, this is, if you are going to start to get back towards your direction and what you want to do, Diana's the way. She's the independent one. Like that part of your inner goddess is the part to really kind of give more power and focus to. Because at the moment, I feel like the other goddesses in the social place, they're more dominant. And so Diana is more relegated to coming up with the clarity for the strategy that's then sort of worked out in the way forward. So I think there is a call here towards this, and it'll be interesting to see with the last card in the reading when we look at the divine masculine. I think that will be the closest connection. It will have its closest connection with Mars there to Diana, so the inner huntress side of things. Then with the sort of energy around your strategic intelligence that purifies and clears away everything for you, we have Sun and Neptune. So this is where the psychic energy happens. But it's also where, if there was going to be a lack of clarity around your life path compared to everybody else, if there could be like Sun and Neptune together can create a kind of blurring of boundaries, this is where it's going to happen. This is why this is so important. It's like this has to be worked out first, also having you in the mix and your independence in the mix. Then when you go there, you won't be risk so much that your empathy, because your empathy and your sort of connection on a social and emotional level are off the charts. But the problem with that is it could blur the boundaries for you when you're trying to work out what to clear out. And you might be clearing out something that you need at the same time as other things to move forward for others. Then I know we can't see it under there, but when we're talking about Yi, the goddess from Australia, around sort of sun energy, what do we get there? Sun and moon, okay. And that's where it gets nicely in balance. Sun's really big to this. It is saying that emotional intelligence, the sun goddess energy within you, is very, very key to this. So it is the one that says it's also, you radiate all this beautiful light, but like you also have to learn how to maintain your own boundaries and your own energy. So this is really a big thing. It's a big part of your life path to own that side of things, because I definitely think, therefore, that the social intelligence is really dominating your inner goddess at the moment. So what's the energy around that? Because sun and moon is in beautiful balance, could bring in a lovely relationship if you've been missing out on that. The alchemical marriage, really well balanced on that thing. The social intelligence, Saturn and Uranus, this is where a breakthrough is necessary. You've got into a habitual pattern and you need to break through some of that. So there's nothing wrong with being this beautiful, motherly, caring person, but it is limiting you and it's making you want to rebel. So focus in on the rebellion and the change energy, because it's really just about bringing it into balance, but at the moment it is a bit out of balance. So let's see, let's go back to the goddess deck and let's just get a couple of goddesses that are external goddesses. So this is what's within you, but external goddesses that are watching over you. Wow, it's going to be very hard to pronounce this name. Anarquagsaok. That is probably completely butchering that name, and I do not know that goddess, so I'll have to look her up. And it looks lovely though. And we also have watching over you, Pele. Oh, great. Pele, the goddess of the volcano, great action, great change. I think she's coming to make sure that you do get this into balance. That would make a lot of sense to me. But for the first one that I really can't pronounce, this is the Inuit goddess of the sea and protector of fishermen. Reminds you of the strength and resilience within. Accept the power of survival and adaptability, and navigate through icy waters. Let her guidance fortify your spirit to face life's challenges and with courage and determination. So I think these two are here to get the breakthrough you need. There is something out of balance in your life, pile one. There's nothing wrong with being lovely, maternal and caring and all of those sort of things, but it's out of whack. And you really have all the strengths you need to keep it in perfect balance. But I think that this is to give you the courage to do that. And then Pele is a goddess of change, and the volcanoes and all of that kind of thing. Hawaiian goddess of fire and volcanoes, imparts the power of transformation and passion. Yeah, passion is really important here. This is why I think it's very, very important you go to Shon's reading, because I think it's almost getting back in touch with your passion, your fire, your creativity, and your courage, because you have a lot of courage, but you've just focused it externally. This will reconnect you to this on a more holistic level, and it will rebalance in a very beautiful way your inner light. But as I say, it's been saying it all the way through. This is sort of necessary. You've come to this reading because you're a beautiful, lovely person who is very other person centered, but you've got to kind of get it back into balance. And you are more than capable of doing it. Your inner goddess in your mind has all the types of intelligence and philosophy and approaches to do it. It's just you've got to break out of a kind of a deep sense of responsibility to get a little bit more into balance. So to finish off, just going to get you a divine masculine. And as I say, the Mars energy came up with Diana, independence of thought, how you operate independently is a really key part of this. And so that analytical side of your intelligence is really the thing that will help you with the breakthrough. When you sit down and you look at what's going on, if you look at it through that lens, like, is this imbalance, you'll be able to figure it out pretty quickly. The divine masculine energy, or the God that watches over all of this within you and within your mind, is BAME, beauty. Okay, another Australian god. So there's two things that's interesting about this, because this is a god of beauty, god of the beauty of the land. And I say again, the Australian, there's a very strong connection to Australian energy, I think, for this group. You don't have to be Australian for it, but like our First Nations people and so forth, very, very spiritual culture. But I also think this is a creation. This is a creator god. He came and created a lot of things and saw that it was beautiful and getting back to nature. So there is something deeply creative in the maternal side as well too. I think that it's saying that you have a very deep creative impulse and passion and all of those sort of things. And it is what you create and do is beautiful. So it's not to say what you're doing is wrong. It's just that at the moment you need to kind of focus that creative energy also on your own life, so that you're not shortchanging yourself, your own destiny, your own abilities and all that kind of thing. And also with the analytical side, which is so sharp, so spot on, don't feel you have to hide it so much. You know, it's sort of like that is part of who you are as well. And those that love you and appreciate what you're doing will love and appreciate that. So I hope that registers for you. I hope it resonates. Hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. And do go and see Shon's reading, because I do think it's a very important key there in connecting to your inner goddess in your body, because I think that is a very clear way to reconnect back with who you are, as well as who you are for other people. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Zonget as the analytical intelligence. So just to let you know what the other goddesses, in terms of your inner goddess in your mind, the different types of intelligence. The second type of intelligence we're looking at is Thesan for the strategic intellect, so your analytical, and then the strategy. Then we're looking at your emotional intelligence. And so thinking about that, your kind of one-on-one relationships or small groups, that kind of thing. And then social intelligence. It could be larger groups, workplaces, community. Your inner goddess is a creature of change. Change, opportunity, the new, chaos and abundance. Like it's all kind of connected. It's the cauldron of creativity, the cauldron of change, all of those sort of things combined. Because when we look at Zonget, which is one that I was not familiar with, so that I've learned about, this is the Siberian goddess of the herd. So she's about fertility and abundance and shepherding things. So when you are looking at some pretty big and powerful new beginning energies, which you're looking at with the other three, particularly probably Tiamat, your analysis, the inner goddess part of you in your mind that analyzes things, looks for how to shepherd people through change, how to bring in abundance, how make things grow. So Tiamat down here is all about chaos as well as creation, but your analytical focus is how do you take the chaos and turn it into creation, the creation and turn it into chaos to turn it into creation again in a way that creates fertility, abundance, growth, and that kind of thing. So you have a very strong sense of what is the harvest or the outcome, the very strong sense of consequential thinking. What is going to be the outcome of this? What am I trying to create? That's where your analytical side of your inner goddess in your mind is focused. Then when we look at the strategic side, so once you've done the analysis, the strategic side is Thesan. Now Thesan is an Etruscan goddess. She's a goddess of the dawn, and so she heralds the arrival of new beginnings and so forth. So once you've actually worked out what the goal is, Thesan helps bring the sort of sunrise, the joy, the excitement in doing it, and understanding what the new day is, what the new possibilities are, that kind of thing. So this is a very illuminating energy. Your strategy illuminates a pathway. You have a goal that is about abundance, and this is the pathway that your strategy brings about. Then, of course, you need to interact with others to create something. On the most personal level, with the emotional intelligence, you have Serpent, who is the Welsh goddess of the cauldron. So I'm saying it feels like everything is kind of being alchemized. This is a highly alchemical energy to have around your emotional intelligence. She is embracing an inner alchemy, an inner journey. So you look upon all relationships that you have and how you deal with other people emotionally as being an alchemical process for your transformation and self-creation and for their transformation and self-creation. So you're an agent of that. You carry the keys to growth. I think you would come across to people as very wise. Someone who they would go to for wise counsel, a steady head when there's a lot of change going on, all of those sort of things. And somebody who may be a very strong spiritual leader, spiritual guide, or spiritual teacher. Either that or very kind of magical. Serpent is a very magical energy. So whatever it is though, kind of on a one-to-one level, you come across as that very wise energy. Makes me think of the maiden, the mother, and the crone energy. Not to say that you have to be old, but there's just that sort of sense of wisdom and inner renewal. So this is the whole thing, and your inner goddess is all about this, because then you go to the social element, and I reckon that most of you, your inner goddess in your mind is a social activist in one form or another, because you have the extraordinarily powerful and primordial Tiamat, a Babylonian goddess of chaos and creation, transforming power, welcoming the unknown, the energy of change and chaos as a creative energy, birthing new life, inspiring you to embrace changing nature of existence, changing nature of the social fabric, all of those sorts of things. So I feel like you are a change agent. You are sort of someone, some of you may be very powerful artists actually, because there's a kind of an energy of like creating out of chaos, creating out of nothing, and the inner alchemy. But whatever it is, I feel that things almost start here. In one of the other readings, I was sort of trying to work out where things start. I think things start here for you. I think the inner journey that you have and the journey of those closest to you, it's like the personal becomes political. And with Tiamat, huge amounts of power. Many of you are going to be very much on the social stage or the world stage or something like that with this energy. Really primordial. but it focuses, okay, I'm not just going to have chaos. The analytical mind goes within the chaos. Where is the abundance? Where is the fertility? Where is the promise? And then the strategy illuminates the way to do it. And then Ceridwen comes in again and is making sure that the people and the relationships are balanced. So you're a change maker, change leader, maybe a creative artist, if not directly that. But I think even if you are a creative artist, there's a kind of a social change element in what you're doing as well. Very, very powerful. You're a very, very powerful person. You may be a little bit scary, I have to say. But ultimately, you're going towards the light. But, you don't take any prisoners in it, and you very much know who you are. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair up the analytical and the strategic, and we're going to pair up the emotional and the social intelligence. Just going to look at a little bit more about each of those. Then we'll look at how they come together. And we're going to have to look at some spiritual gifts that connect to that. And then we're going to have a look at how the inner goddess in your body that Shon is looking at kind of is involved in all of this. But firstly, let's have a little bit more of a look at this consequential thinking, creative, fertile, focused energy that illuminates a pathway, which is the kind of energy of your analysis and your strategy. A little bit more about that. Death reversed, Nine of Swords, Page of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles reversed, King of Cups reversed, Magician reversed. Okay, yeah, you probably do scare people a little bit, I've got to say. And I wouldn't be surprised if for some of you, your inner goddess is mistaken for some sort of inner god. Like I think you have a very, very strong energy signature, and sometimes people mistake that for the divine masculine. Like it's quite blurry sometimes between it because there's a lot of action, a lot of creation in all of this. So the inner feminine is not just receptive and docile or anything like that. It is all the things, just like the divine masculine, inner masculine has energies that we might more associate with the feminine and so forth. But I think there is a little bit of a thing there that sometimes you can come across, or people may think of you as being more thinking like a man. Thinking like a man. I think that's what people might say. And, if you are male, or if you identify with male, then that's fine. We're still looking at your inner goddess energy, though. And I think there's a little bit of people don't really understand where it comes from because I think it's so full on. If this was a kind of more motherly creative energy, they'd be more likely to sort of see it as coming from the divine feminine. But this is a take no prisoners, change is coming, we've got to create something, we've got to illuminate the path, the truth is the only thing that takes us forward type of energy with all the transformative inner alchemy stuff. And I just think that sometimes they may think that's more your divine masculine, but it's actually your inner goddess that's doing it. And it's doing it towards healing, like there's a kind of a sense of wanting to heal something. You are very independent though. This is not, whatever you do, and you're a leader, not a follower, you're not someone in a team, your inner goddess kind of knows what she's doing and she's going towards what she wants. This is not a group sport, basically. You probably influence people when people come to you, as I say, for advice and so forth, but you are your own person. And you kind of thrive in that moment before a decision is made to take us out of anxiety and fear. Like you kind of thrive on that because that's where you really come alive to going, now I'm going to really work out what do we actually want. I'm going to take away the worry about this. I'm going to almost make it so it's inevitable, so there isn't even a choice anymore. There's just one way that we need to move forward. That's how your analytical sense operates, pole 2. Okay, so then let's have a look at the emotional intelligence, which I say is about very deep transformation for you and for other people. Like I think even knowing you is a bit of a transformative energy. And the social one where it's like we're going to go for what the change that is necessary, even if there's chaos associated with it. And if I sound a little bit puffed, it's because I just had to pause and run downstairs to get a delivery. So moments when I realise I'm not as fit as I'd like to be. Anyway, getting back to this. The energy around your inner goddess in your mind, in your emotional and your social intelligence. Two of Pentacles reversed. The Emperor. King of Swords. Hierophant reversed. Boy. I do think a lot of people, Ace of Wands reversed, mistake your power for your divine masculine energy. I really do. You're very strong. You're very strong. As I say, maybe a little bit intimidating. I mean, we've got 3 kings, or we've got 2 kings and an emperor there. So I feel, and then we've got another king reverse there. I feel like that's a big part of it. Like you are a force to be reckoned with. You are a leader, you're a boss. As I say, this is not a team sport. You might have a group of people working for you if you're changing things, but you are very strong, very strong. And it's not a shared thing. You will help alchemize others, and you will help them change. I don't think you would tell them what to be, by the way. I think you would just help them do that. Your aim would be that they would be as strong as you eventually. But you don't take the decisions, the material decisions from anyone, but you don't take them from anybody else. Like you don't do what other people say either. Like you're very strongly in being true to who you are and alchemizing within, then socially, and then having the strategy to make it all work out. Very much in your mind. I think it will be very interesting for you to do Shon's reading, because it may well be that is where the more feminine, what we would call feminine, and I think it's probably a misnomer really, but what we would call feminine side really comes out in your inner goddess, because boy, there's a really action-oriented sort of energy. And you may seem sometimes to be incredibly smart, but incredibly disruptive to the status quo, like you really are. This is the social activist group, the political activists, the spiritual activists, and you don't take any prisoners. You aren't into anything that's old or stuck. Anything that stops the energy of growth, abundance, or anything, you're going to kind of take before you. You are a change agent. You're kind of a living embodiment of kind of Tiamat sort of energy, I think. So let's see how the two come together, how the two energies come together. Ten of Swords. Yeah, when there's drama, Eight of Pentacles reversed, you've got skills beyond belief with all of that. When the old is changing, when the old needs to change, the Moon, when mysteries need to be solved and where hearts need to be unbroken. Like, it's interesting, you do have a sentimental and a soft side, and I think this is when you illuminate. It's just that most people probably don't see it because they're like, oh, she's a bit scary, or he's a bit scary. As I say, you don't have to be feminine, you don't have to be a woman or identify as a woman for this reading, but there is definitely a sort of sense here that you, in the heart and in the mystery of the heart, is where these two really connect. But boy, they kind of work in symphony together when there's drama and when change is necessary. It is a symphony. You're like an orchestrator of all of it then. You have skills beyond what other people are aware of in this space. That's why I think, oddly enough, because we come from such a patriarchal society, I think, oddly enough, people might think, oh, this sort of energy is more divine masculine, but it's not. It's the side of the divine feminine that is active and chaotic and changing and creative in that way, and all of those sort of things. It's not afraid of going into the underworld or the shadow side of things to sort it out. But you really come into your own when there's change. Change energy is necessary. Old systems, old regimes, relationships breaking up, any of those sort of things. You bring the mystery out of it. You clear the emotional stuff that's getting in the way. You're very, very skilled. So let's see with the sister deck to this tarot deck, let's just see 3 spiritual archetypes that you call upon before we have a look at how this connects to Shon's reading. So 3 spiritual archetypes that works with this formidable inner goddess in your mind. Pile 2. Oh, what a surprise. The warrior, bravery, strength and courage. Yeah, you are very, very brave. Very, very strong. The ancient one, connecting to the past and ancestry. This is what I was saying. I was feeling the crone energy with Ceridwen. I think you really do go back deep and ancient. Tiamat is a very ancient energy, very primordial, something very primordial about your strength and your soul. It's certainly not a young soul. And The alchemist. Oh, yeah, and Sheridan. So there you go. Absolutely, absolutely the side of this. Tiamat's probably the warrior and a bit of the ancient one. The ancient one and the alchemist is probably a bit of Sheridan. And then the analytical and strategic mind brings it into being and finds the pathway. Okay, but as I say, some people might find you so formidable that you're scary. I think that what's really important is how the inner goddess in your body is operating, because I think that's where the sort of what they may be more able to connect with. And they're connecting with something with Ceridwen there. People aren't just running away from you, they're coming to you for transformation. So just as a little bit of a taster of what Shon will be doing in her reading, let's just sort of see what the inner goddess in your body kind of brings to the table, along with the inner goddess in your mind. Three of Wands reversed, Five of Swords reversed, Knight of Cups. Okay, this is the side of you, and it'll be interesting, you know, for you to see what Shon has to say, that does not give up on friends, lovers, all of that kind of thing, even when the battle is really, really full on. Because it's sort of like you never leave the battle when it would leave someone behind or where hearts would be broken. So you really are very lovely. You really have a very lovely core. It's just that you're formidable. But I think it's really important to see Shon's reading, because I think it's in the body and in that sort of side of things that you'll find your love and your friendships and all that kind of thing. Because this could be a bit of a lonely profile. You're so powerful, but I don't think you're meant to be alone. Okay, so let's also have a look at how this works astrologically for each of a little bit more about each of the sides of your inner goddess in your mind. So around your analytical ability, Moon and Pluto. So this is the fertility, the abundance, the connection, the resilience, all of those sort of energies to go through the major change and to stay connected to the heart and to stay connected to the mystery. So it's a very alchemical, mysterious, chaos, the void type of energy that you bring to this, but you are keeping connected to your emotions and the mystery with the change through the side of you that analyzes it. So that is really helpful. Then the illuminating side that comes, and that brings joy out of it, that makes this actually a joyful journey. Mercury and Neptune. Yeah, you actually can speak very beautifully. Like whatever you say about this really resonates with people. It's one of the reasons, as I say, even though they might find you a little bit intimidating, people will come to you. They'll come to you for change. They'll come to you for spiritual advice. They'll come to you for the support and so forth, because you do have a way of articulating spiritual matters and the ideal so beautifully that you bring people with you, and it's part of your strategy to communicate this in a way that is softer, because you know that you're kind of bearing the brunt of the big change energy. You change it into an ideal to illuminate the path, to have people come along with you. Then with Ceridwen, so the inner alchemist, Sun and Moon, that's interesting. That came up there for another one. There might be something about the emotional intelligence where the Sun and Moon particularly comes into play. This would suggest that you're meant to have, if you aren't already in it, a great love, I would say. Also that your inner divine masculine and feminine are very, very well balanced. So the alchemical marriage, it kind of connects with the ancient energy as well. And then Tiamat, which is, as I say, formidable. We have Jupiter and Jupiter, formidable but incredibly benefic. The only issue with the double whammy of Jupiter is that Jupiter can be too much sometimes. So you basically do come from a very beneficent place. You really want the good of all. You want a joyful and illuminated thing, and you can bring abundance. You can really bring abundance. You really can, and really creative. But you may be so big, and the change could be so big that it could be overpowering. So I think that's the only thing to be aware of, because Jupiter is a wonderful benefic planet, but it can also be things in excess. So it's important to bear that in mind, I would say. So also to balance it, if that's your inner goddess, if your inner goddess is a combination in your mind of those four elements, what goddesses actually, using the same deck again, what goddesses actually are external to you in your spirit team at this time? Anahita, and I don't know who that is, so I'm going to have to look it up. As I'm learning this deck and these wonderful new goddesses, the same time as I'm doing the readings. And Jackie. Okay, so Anahita, the first goddess who is watching over you, is the Iranian goddess of fertility and water. Well, that would fit. Fertility, abundance, creation, and that kind of thing. Honor the life-giving force of water. So the emotional side. This helps to bring the emotional side in because you're dealing with a lot of stuff. Tiamat too was sort of, amongst other things, a water dragon. So that kind of makes sense. Embrace the energy of nourishment and abundance. Let her guidance inspire you to cherish the earth and protect its precious resources. You may have a particular cause around the environment and so forth with this, or she may encourage you in that space. And then Jackie is the Tupi-Garani goddess of the moon, so moon energy. She will help with particularly around these two energies. She offers a profound connection to the night sky and the mysteries of the cosmos. Well, again, surprise, surprise, you're the alchemist, the primordial, ancient one. It helps you synchronize with divine guidance, stargazing, celestial realms, so connects you to the celestial realms. Also, I would say astrology. I'd say these astrology energies are very important for you. And I think if you haven't already looked into astrology, it would be worth looking into your astrology as part of understanding this and your purpose, because you have a very big change purpose, definitely, and a lot of skill in this space. Okay, to finish off, I just wanted to give the divine masculine a bit of a say, because this has been all divine feminine, all the goddess stuff. So I thought I would get an inner god, for your mind. So the inner god of your mind to sort of balance the inner goddess of your mind, just to close out the reading. And so for you, wow, what a surprise. Chaos set. So the god of chaos, change, all the things that precede creation in the Egyptian pantheon. So you are not unacquainted with the night. You are not unacquainted with the shadow. You are not unacquainted with chaos. You are very, very strong and able to deal with it. You also understand that after chaos comes, the new seeds, the new way, and the new balance. So you're not just about chaos. You're not just a chaos agent or a chaos magician. You may well have those aspects. You don't have to, but you might. But you are also about the next steps, the new beginnings as well, and very, very powerful energy. So I think it's worth being aware of that, because people might find it a bit scary. But I don't. I mean, I think it's wonderful. I'm sure I'd really like you. But some people might find it a little bit, wow. But I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. And do go and see Shon's reading to sort of see how this all balances out with your goddess within your body, your inner goddess within your body, to see that side of the energy as well too. But beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Mailiki as your analytical intelligence. You have Mama or Mummy Wata as your strategic intelligence. You have Niang Neek as your emotional intelligence, so kind of one-on-one kind of connections. And then a social intelligence, you have Hina. Now, it's interesting that of the three readings, this is the most overtly emotional, what we would classically think of as divine feminine. And it's been a really interesting journey to do these readings, because it really underlines that what we think of as feminine and masculine is a bit of a false dichotomy. And of course, we all, whether we're women or men, whatever we identify with, or non-binary, we have all those aspects within us. It's what we might choose to accentuate, or people mostly see, is one thing, but we have everything within us. This of all of them is very emotionally oriented, very fertility oriented, very about kind of stewardship and responsibility. But it's interesting. It's partly about really connecting in sort of to the intuitive side and the spiritual side and the emotional side. But then what comes with it is an understanding or a responsibility that creates a need to change relationships, change the way we operate, our relationship to the earth, to the nature, to environment, and also to each other. So it's almost as though I've been in each of these trying to work out the order that things go in. And what I feel is these two operate first. So when we're looking at the kind of, let's look at this one first. We look at your social energy. So where you are socially connecting with others, with your inner goddess in your mind. This is the Polynesian moon goddess, and she talks all about the feminine power of intuition, reflection, the cycles of the moon, the emotions, the ebb and flow of things, lunar energy with the tides, all of that sort of stuff. There's a very strong spiritual connection. On a social level, your social intelligence is very much connected to your intuition, the feelings that you get about things, your psychic awareness. I would say you're a highly psychic group, highly psychic. So you connect to others sort of telepathically, empathically, all of those things. In fact, one of the challenges you may have is the boundaries around that, to be honest, which I think is triggering what happens over here. So your social intelligence is like that. It's very emotional. And then when we also look at how you strategize in your life, if we look at Mummy Wata, this is sensuality and the kind of the embrace of the emotions and the embrace of sensuality, connection to primal forces, life's currents and ebbs and so forth. Again, tides of change, water. So there's a lot about the moon, water, emotion, sensuality. This will be a very strongly connected reading to Shon's. I think Shon's will actually probably of the two be the dominant reading. I think it should be, because I feel like the mind here is very much connected with the intuition, with the body, with the flow of water, even the water within the body. All of this makes you highly empathic and highly connected to others, which then brings about the analysis, because when we look at the analytical intelligence, this is Mailiki, and this is all about developing responsibility. She's a Finnish goddess of the forest and the animals, and she invites us to understand our relationship with the earth and to see it as a stewardship, take responsibility. So I feel like there's a kind of you're almost like an emotional vortex that draws in, not in a bad way, but like in a very profound way, the energies of others and how they're operating within the world, and even the feelings beyond other human beings, but all of nature, the environment. I think you're all very, very connected to that. And because of that, it's strategically, socially, something needs to shift in that way, because you're sort of, the analysis, it's almost inevitable. We have to have responsibility. We have to take responsibility. We need to do something. So I think a lot of you will have kind of like a sense of almost social activism or something around that. You don't necessarily have to be out there and be an environmentalist or whatever. You could be, but there's something where your connection, your psychic connection with others brings upon you an analytical understanding that you have a role as a steward, and that in general humanity does, which then brings the personal. So this is almost the political, this is the personal. And I think you see this actually as, I think your inner goddess in your mind sees this as the point at which change has to start. It has to start at an individual level, because Nyang Neek is a serpent goddess of Cambodia. And so she's about transformation, shedding of old skin, renewing your life, bringing in new energy, all of that kind of thing. So I feel as though this energy, which is really natural to you, which is within the emotional and the intuitive realm, has made you realize, or is starting to make you realize, how much of a stewardship role we have. And it starts with the personal. It starts with our interactions. It's almost like a ripple effect. If out of this you knew that we had to be kinder to the earth and to each other, then your first step would be, I will be kind to the people that I'm interacting with. I will model that, and I will shed anything that gets in the way of that. I will shed any skin that's necessary. The transformation has to start with me. It's like Gandhi, be the change that you want to see. That kind of energy, that's who you are, and that's what your inner goddess energy in your mind is talking about. So let's get a little bit more information about it. So what I want to do is I firstly want to pair these two and then these two. Even though it's kind of going like that for you, I want to pair the two that are logically together. So analysis and strategy, emotional and social. So when we look at the analysis and the strategy, the understanding of the stewardship and the strategy that has to do with being true to ourselves emotionally, so that we cannot lie to ourselves, we cannot lie to others. This has to be really pure. How is that working for you? High Priestess reversed, Queen of Swords, Hanged Man reversed, King of Cups, King of Pentacles, Moon reversed. Okay. There's a bit of a debate going on within you. This is the balance you have to come to terms with to really come into who you are pile 3, because it's almost like one side of you, which I think is the analytical side, and where you would like your strategy side to sit, is I'll just think differently. It's not about sort of psychic stuff. This is all analytical. I can just analyze it and know it and so forth. Because it's almost as though you're a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of emotion and information that's coming in psychically. So that it's like, I can't do anything in the world with this information. I have to be really analytical about it. Because you're sort of looking at the structures of the world and so forth, and like almost what's acceptable to say or do, that kind of energy. You're dealing, I would say, with a lot of power, people with power, that kind of thing, in one form or another, whether that's, political power, social power, power within your family, power within a social group, whatever it might be. But I think they're kind of almost at war, because I think that the moon wants to come out, because it really is a very powerful thing, and your psychic stuff wants to come out. But this side of your mind, this is being dominant, which is, okay, I'll take responsibility. I'll do that. But there's a real shift. You know that you have to shift what you believe, and other people need to shift what they believe. But there's a side of you that almost wants to say, no, things are fine. I'll just analyze, and we'll just work within the systems we have. But I think that there's a big agitation within you to actually start to make your strategy look at the High Priestess and the moon, because it really is. It's the thing that is really you. But it's like, I don't know whether you're in a very constrained environment and so you feel all this sort of stuff and you just try and stay on the facts and nothing but the facts, but there's something like that shifting. So then when we know we have to make this personal, because the energy that's coming into you socially is so profound. What's going on there for you, pile 3? 8 of Cups, Wheel of Fortune reversed, the World reversed, Temperance reversed. Yeah, you can't avoid it. You can't ignore it. 8 of Wands, Queen of Pentacles. Okay. The only way you can feel really dedicated is in aligning all these things. At the moment, they're a little bit separated out. But you're increasingly seeing that there are patterns that need to be moved away from, because they're not working anymore. And you care about the world. And there's also certain things that can't complete, can't create, can't come into fruition. You know that there's a shift that has to occur. Even if it makes you feel like you're thrown out of balance because you're used to your mind kind of in its analytical thing ruling. But and I think you're going to find something you can be really dedicated to. In fact, once your mind is moved towards the stewardship idea as opposed to just kind of analysing a system, you'll get a rush of energy out of this. I also feel too, all these birds, look like ravens with the girl running here. I feel like they're psychopomps. I feel like there's and I've said that very clearly because when I used this in a thing before, people didn't hear, psychopomp. It's a messenger from the underworld. Ravens are often that. I feel like there's a sort of sense of information is coming to you, that serpentine sort of energy and information to bring you the clarity that you need. And that will happen quite quickly once you sort of align those sides of you and you dedicate yourself to something. Because until you do that, you're going to feel like there's unfinished business on the world. So let's see how the two connect, if you can bring them together. But as I say, you've got that kind of same tension in each, because you've got the knowing that you need to shed a skin, you need to do this on the personal level, you need to make change, and then the kind of almost being overwhelmed emotionally on the kind of emotional and social levels. And then you've got I want to just be a responsible steward, all these kings and queen or whatever, but then there's so much of an uprush of emotional energy coming in and that kind of psychic stuff and the needing to clear things away and get things into balance, that it's sort of there's an internal battle going on. So let's see how they all work together. If you can bring them all together and make them work in a sequence, that's probably the way to deal with it. 7 of Pentacles reversed, 5 of Wands reversed, 3 of Pentacles, Knight of Cups reversed, Knight of Wands reversed. So This is something where you do need to connect with other people. Like the other couple of readings were a little bit more independent, one in particular, but this one there's something about collaborating with others that will help. So this is because I guess you're so socially attuned, and you shedding your skin and helping others shed their skin actually creates kind of teams to work together on stuff. And so you kind of maybe even balance out some of what you're dealing with internally with other people as well. It's saying that you should have a mind not so much to the ultimate outcome of this, but more on reducing the internal conflict. Once you reduce the internal conflict, that will look after itself. It is saying, though, that if anything at the moment, interesting, what's happening right now is although your kind of stewardship and the kind of like the more analytical side of things is trying to rule, what is going on at the moment to make this go through is that you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed emotionally and passionately. So it's slow that down a bit if you need to. Allow yourself to do the analysis. Allow yourself to go within, because it's like you really are getting extraordinarily accurate information coming through. It's just because you are so psychic and so empathic, but it's overwhelming you at the moment. And so you're kind of almost downing the hatches and just putting everything, like putting all those sort of barricades up. It's like if you allow yourself to just take that more gradually, take the conflict out of it, then you're going to sort of find the way to bring it together. So let's have a look at 3 sort of spiritual archetype energies with the sister deck to this tarot deck that could help you bring that all into balance. The light worker, higher truths and spiritual wisdom. So I think having that cause, what is the stewardship? Seeing this as light work rather than just sort of like being a bit emotionally overwhelmed and like empathically over sort of loaded. It's like thinking about what is the thing that you're trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? The astral traveler, cosmic connection and attachment. Maybe one of the things is to get a little bit out of your body sometimes and get into the astral realm. So it'll be very interesting to see Shon's reading, to see what's sort of happening with that, because I feel like your body is an incredible radar for all of this. I think it's the entry point of all of that, and that's fine, but maybe you also need to kind of get into the celestial realms to kind of balance it out, because you're such a receiver. I think that might kind of balance out both sides of your nature psychically. And elemental sorceress, earth, air, fire, and water magic. Yeah, it's like you need all the elements in balance. And there's a really strong water element around all of this. And maybe fire with the sense of the serpent. I feel like serpent sort of shedding its skins, a bit like the Negredo in alchemy and so forth. This is just, the more that you can bring all your elements together within yourself, the more you're going to get this all to harmonise rather than kind of argue with itself. And the more in control you'll be of what energy is coming in and when you change and how you change. Very important to see Shon's reading, because I do think like the bodily side of this, particularly the earth, and that kind of thing is going to be really important to this. So looking at that, let's just draw 3 cards for what may come up as a bit of a teaser for Shon's reading if you haven't been there already, or a bit of a connector if you have. King of Swords, 9 of Pentacles, 6 of Wands. Okay, I think that one of the reasons, and I think it's going to show up in one way or another in Shon's reading, one of the reasons that you feel a bit overwhelmed with the emotional side of this, and you're very good at this, is that you may have been recognised for and rewarded before for the thought processes and the independence rather than connection. Like some of you may be very academically minded, and a lot of this is around theory and philosophy and so forth, and you're comfortable in that terrain, but in actual fact you're such a radar for emotional energy. But I think there's something in how you were recognised and what was recognised as special in you that is also key to you getting these things in balance. And it really is just about balance, because you're more than capable of taking all this sort of psychic input, working it out, analytically and knowing what that means, and then making the change in yourself and being that change to represent it to others. And you might have done this before intellectually with something, actually. That might be the other thing. but it might be sort of something that was creative or comes out sort of around the bodily side of things. There's some clue, there's a real clue associated with Shon's reading anyway for how to make the most of this. Okay, so we also want to look at astrology. We just want to get a pairing of planets for each of the types of intelligence as well too. That might also give us some clues. So around the analytical energy of understanding the responsibility and the stewardship that comes from the input from all this emotional and psychic and intuitive energy, we get Jupiter and Uranus. So yeah, there's basically a sense here that you understand a benefic outcome of change that's necessary. It's change for a cause. It's not just change for change's sake. Then when we look at the energy of your strategic mind, the goddess in your mind that is strategic is also incredibly emotionally attuned. We get Venus and Saturn. Yeah, this is the mind and the stewardship energy connects to the heart energy. There's something in here. Who you love, what you love is part of this. It's how you actually get to understand what your stewardship is, what really matters to you, what do you feel a sense of responsibility for. Then when we look at our chemical snake shedding its skin, the change starts with us. The way we treat the people closest to us is the indication of what we want in the world as a whole. We get Sun and Uranus. Yeah, you want change there at the very personal. The personal is political, as I think I said probably at the beginning. There is that change energy is at an ego individual level. In fact, it's the only way that change can happen in reality. It has to happen fundamentally, individual by individual. And then when we look at all that amazing intuitive psychic energy you have coming in from the social fabric, the energy there, Neptune, yeah, the psychic thing with Pluto, that is causing the need for deep change and deep transformation. So you can't avoid it. And you have a beautiful heart. It's just that for some reason, it's a bit overwhelming. So it's how you actually get that into balance and decide what you want to do with it. And I think this is the clue. It's the most personal relationships. If you focus primarily on that, the rest will kind of look after itself. Okay, so let's see a couple of goddesses that are external to you that are in your spirit team to help you with this. So we've seen the goddess energy that personifies your internal goddess in your mind. What goddesses in your spirit team can help you? Thesan. So she's all about illumination and joy on the path. So I think that is to bring in a sense of joy and being able to move and grow and bring in what you want. Like this is an illumination, not a overwhelming energy. And Zonget. So you got actually one of the cards, because I've reshuffled them in after each thing, that was there for pile 1. So some of you may have a connection to pile 1. So actually it might not have been, I just paused because I just wanted to look up something. It might not have been pile 1. I'm not sure which pile, but she has come up before. But she is a Siberian goddess of the herd. So she is a shepherd. It's a similar sort of energy here. She's coming in here to help you with the stewardship sort of side of things. Thesan is illuminating the path so that you know how best to use that energy. So yeah, when I was about to say something about her and I went she, and then I thought, hang on, I just paused to check. So yeah, I'm not sure which one she was in. She's come up in one of the other readings, so you may have a connection to another reading. But beyond that, I think in this case it's pretty clear. She's there to help you with knowing what is your shepherding role with others, and Thesan is to help illuminate the path when you may be feeling a bit overwhelmed. So just to finish off, I want to get you a god. So I want to get, if this is the inner goddess in your mind, I want to get the inner god in your mind just to sort of balance out the divine masculine and feminine. So for you, we get, oh, that's interesting. This came up for one of the others and it came up, I think it was for number 1. So maybe that's why I was thinking that was number 1. I can't remember if it was or wasn't. But this is a Australian god. So in our Indigenous First Nations people, a god of beauty and creation. And it is about coming and creating things and understanding that things are beautiful. So I think this is the inner masculine energy in this is to sort of say that all of this sort of inspiration you're going to get and what you could create on a personal level and the stewardship of what you care about. And there is a stewardship of the land. It connects. that is all part of this, that what you create and what you bring into being and the connections that you have with others and even in your personal relationships, they're all very beautiful, but they're also something that you have to protect and be steward over. So I hope that resonates for you. I do think it's very important to see Shon's reading, because I do think it will give you the key, the real key to how to not get overwhelmed by your psychic ability and your empathy, because they're profound, and be able to then work out how to move to this stewardship role that your inner goddess in your mind wants to move to in a way that's very personal, relationship by relationship, in a way that works for you and that connects with your creativity and nurturing and all the sort of things that would be associated with your inner goddess in your body. So do go and see Shon's reading. But beyond that, if you enjoyed the reading, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.